Maya Rodriguez stared at the small plastic test in her shaking hands. 2 pink lines. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. She sat on the edge of the bathtub in their tiny apartment bathroom, trying to make sense of what this meant. "Elena," she called out to her twin sister, her voice barely above a whisper. Elena rushed in, took one look at Maya's pale face and the test, and immediately understood. The twins had always been able to read each other's thoughts, even as little girls. Now at 19, that connection felt stronger than ever. "Oh, honey," Elena whispered, sitting down next to Maya on the tub's edge. "Are you okay?" Maya shook her head. "I don't know. Derek and I broke up 2 months ago. Things got really bad at the end. He was so angry all the time, and when I tried to leave..." She touched her arm where a bruise had finally faded. Elena's jaw tightened. She had never liked Derek, especially after seeing how he treated Maya. The guy came from money. His family owned half the businesses in their small town. But money couldn't buy you a good heart, and Derek's was rotten. "We'll figure this out," Elena said, taking her sister's hand. "Whatever happens, we'll handle it together." But Maya was already thinking ahead, and none of her thoughts were good. "Elena, you know Derek won't just walk away from this. His family. They have lawyers, money, connections. What if they try to take the baby?" "They can't do that," Elena said, but her voice didn't sound convinced. Maya stood up and started pacing in the small bathroom. "You don't know his mother, Mrs. Patterson. She's always talking about family legacy and bloodlines. She hated me from day one because I work at the diner and live in this dump." Maya gestured around their cramped apartment. "But a grandchild? She'll see that as property that belongs to the Patterson family." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. She knew Maya was right. The Patterson family had a reputation in town for getting what they wanted, no matter who got hurt in the process. Over the next few days, Maya tried to keep working at the diner, but morning sickness made everything harder. She could barely keep food down, and the smell of bacon made her run to the bathroom. Her boss, Mr. Chen, was understanding at first, but Maya could see his patience wearing thin. Elena picked up extra shifts at the grocery store where she worked, trying to make up for the money Maya might lose. They were already behind on rent, and their landlord had been leaving threatening notes under their door. Then Derek showed up. Maya was walking home from the diner one evening when she saw him leaning against his expensive car outside their apartment building. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't told him about the pregnancy yet, and she wasn't ready for this conversation. "Maya," he called out as she tried to walk past him. "We need to talk." "There's nothing to talk about, Derek. We're done." Maya kept walking, but Derek grabbed her arm. "Someone told me you've been sick lately." Running to the bathroom looking pale, his grip tightened. "Are you pregnant?" Maya tried to pull away, but Derek was stronger. "Let go of me. Answer the question, Maya. Is it mine? Even if it was, it wouldn't matter. We're not together anymore." Derek's face changed, and Maya saw the anger she remembered from their worst fights. "If you're carrying my child, that changes everything. My family has rights. Your family doesn't have any rights to anything involving me," Maya said, finally breaking free from his grip. But Derek just smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "We'll see about that." The next morning, there was a knock at their door. Elena answered it to find a woman in a business suit holding a clipboard. "Are you Maya or Elena Rodriguez?" the woman asked. "I'm Elena. What's this about?" "I'm from Child Protective Services. We received a report about concerning living conditions that might affect the welfare of an unborn child." Elena's blood ran cold. "I'm sorry, what?" The woman pushed past Elena into their small apartment, looking around with disapproving eyes. She noted the water stain on the ceiling, the secondhand furniture, the small kitchen with dishes in the sink. "We need to conduct a home evaluation," the woman said, writing notes on her clipboard. "There are questions about whether this environment would be suitable for raising a child." Maya appeared from the bedroom, having heard the conversation. "Who called you?" "That information is confidential," the woman replied. "But I can tell you that someone who cares about the welfare of your unborn child felt it was necessary to intervene." After the woman left, Maya sank onto their worn couch and started crying. Elena sat beside her, rubbing her back. "It was Derek," Maya said through her tears, "or his family. They're already trying to build a case against me." Elena felt anger burning in her chest. "They can't do this. You're a good person, Maya. You work hard, you take care of yourself. Just because we don't have much money doesn't mean we can't raise a baby." But even as she said it, Elena looked around their apartment with new eyes. The place was clean but old. The heating barely worked in winter. They shared one small bedroom and had no space for a nursery. Their combined income barely covered rent and food. What if they're right? Maya whispered. What if I can't give this baby what it needs? Don't say that, Elena said firmly. Love matters more than money. We grew up poor too, remember? Mom did her best with nothing and we turned out okay. But their mother had passed away 2 years ago, and their father had never been in the picture. They were truly alone now, and the Patterson family knew it. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Derek's smile and the woman from Child Services looking around their apartment, like it was contaminated. She placed her hand on her still flat stomach and whispered, I won't let them take you. I don't know how, but I won't let them win. In the bed next to hers, Elena lay awake too, her mind racing with plans and possibilities. They needed help, but they had nowhere to turn. No family, no money for lawyers, no connections to fight the Patterson influence. But Elena had always been the fighter of the two sisters. If Derek and his family wanted a war, she'd give them one. She just had to figure out how to win when the odds were stacked so heavily against them. The next few weeks would test everything the sisters thought they knew about love, family, and what they were willing to sacrifice to protect each other. But that night all they had was determination and the promise they'd made as children, that no matter what happened, they'd always have each other. 3 weeks after the visit from Child Services, Maya's morning sickness got worse. She could barely make it through her shifts at the diner without running to the bathroom. Mr. Chen called her into his small office one afternoon, and Maya knew what was coming. Maya, you're a good worker, he said, not meeting her eyes, but I can't have someone who can't do the job. I've got customers complaining and you've missed 3 shifts this week. Please, Mr. Chen, I just need a little more time. The sickness will get better soon. He shook his head sadly. I'm sorry. I'll pay you through the end of the week, but that's all I can do. Maya walked home in a daze. Without her job, they couldn't even pretend to make ends meet. Elena's grocery store wages weren't enough to cover rent, food, and the bills that kept piling up. When she got home, Elena was sitting at their small kitchen table with papers spread everywhere. Bills, bank statements, and a letter that made Maya's heart sink. What's that? Maya asked, though she already knew. Eviction notice, Elena said quietly. We have 30 days, Maya sank into the other chair. Mr. Chen fired me today. Elena closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them with new determination. Okay, we'll figure this out. I can ask for more hours at the store. Maybe find a weekend job too. But they both knew it was too late for that. The hole they were in was too deep. The next day brought worse news. A official-looking envelope arrived with Maya's name on it. Inside was a court summons. Derek's family was suing for custody of the unborn child, claiming Maya was unfit to be a mother due to her unstable living situation and inability to provide proper care. They're moving fast, Maya said, staring at the papers. The hearing is in 6 weeks. Elena grabbed the papers and read them herself. The legal language was confusing, but the message was clear. The Patterson family wanted Maya's baby, and they were using every advantage they had to get it. We need a lawyer, Elena said. With what money? Maya laughed bitterly. I called 3 law offices yesterday. The cheapest one wanted $5,000 just to start. They spent their last savings on a consultation with a young lawyer named Ms. Patel, who worked out of a small office above a pizza shop. She was kind but honest. I'll be straight with you, Ms. Patel said, looking over their paperwork. This is going to be very difficult. The Patterson family has hired Williams & Associates. They're the best firm in the state. They're arguing that you can't provide a stable home, health care, or financial security for the child. But I'm the mother, Maya said. Doesn't that count for something? Of course it does. But in custody cases, the court's main concern is what's best for the child. If they can prove that the Patterson family can provide better opportunities. She let the sentence hang in the air. Elena leaned forward. What would we need to prove to win? Stable housing, steady income, healthcare coverage, and a support system. Right now, you don't have any of those things. They left the lawyer's office feeling defeated. Maya was now 12 weeks pregnant and her small belly was just starting to show. She kept her hand on it protectively as they walked down the street. I won't let them take my baby, she said suddenly. Elena stopped walking. What do you mean? I mean, maybe we don't have to stay and fight this battle on their terms. Maybe we go somewhere else, somewhere they can't find us. Maya, that's crazy. You can't just run away. They'll find you, and it'll make everything worse. But Maya's mind was already working. Will it? What's the worst that could happen? They take the baby anyway? At least if we leave, we have a chance. Elena wanted to argue, but looking at her sister's desperate face, she couldn't. They'd tried to do everything the right way, and it wasn't working. Maybe running was their only option. That night, they started planning. Elena had an old car that barely ran but might make it out of state. They had about $800 between them, enough for gas and food for a while, but not much else. Where would we go? Elena asked. Somewhere small where people don't ask too many questions. Maybe Montana or Wyoming, somewhere Derek's family doesn't have connections. They spent the next week getting ready. Elena quit her job, telling her boss she had a family emergency. Maya packed their few belongings into 2 suitcases. They researched small towns online, looking for places that might need workers and wouldn't be too expensive. The night before they planned to leave, Derek showed up again. Maya saw him through the window and panicked. Elena, he's here. Don't answer the door, Elena whispered. But Derek started pounding on the door and shouting. I know you're in there, Maya. We need to talk about my child. Neighbors started coming out to see what the noise was about. Finally, Maya opened the door just to make him stop yelling. What do you want, Derek? He pushed past her into the apartment. I want to talk about our future. My family has a proposition for you. Elena stepped between Derek and Maya. Get out. You're not welcome here. Derek ignored Elena and spoke directly to Maya. My mother wants to meet with you. She's willing to make this easy on everyone. Give up custody willingly, and we'll make sure you're taken care of financially. You mean you'll pay me to give up my baby? Maya felt sick. Think about it practically, Maya. You can't even afford rent. What kind of life can you give a child? My family can provide everything. The best schools, healthcare, opportunities you could never offer. And what about me? Do I get to see my child at all? Derek shrugged. Maybe supervised visits once in a while. But let's be honest, it's better for everyone if the child doesn't get confused about who their real family is. Elena stepped forward. Get out now! Derek looked around the shabby apartment one more time. Think about it, Maya. The court hearing is in 4 weeks. Make this easy on yourself. After he left, Maya sat on the couch crying. Elena held her sister and made a decision. We're leaving tonight, Elena said. Right now. Elena, we're not ready. Yes, we are. We've got everything we need. If we wait, they might do something to stop us. I saw how Derek looked around here, like he was memorizing everything to use against you in court. Maya wiped her tears and nodded. You're right. Let's go. They loaded Elena's old Honda with their suitcases, some food, and all the money they had. Maya left a note for their landlord, apologizing for breaking the lease but not explaining where they were going. As they drove out of town at midnight, Maya looked back at the only home she'd ever known. She was scared, but for the first time in weeks, she also felt hopeful. Whatever happened next, at least they were fighting back. Elena gripped the steering wheel and headed for the highway. Where to? Maya pulled out the map they'd marked with possible destinations. Cedar Ridge, Montana, population 847. They have a diner and a general store. Maybe they need help. Montana it is, Elena said, and pressed harder on the gas pedal. Behind them, their old life disappeared into the darkness. Ahead was nothing but uncertainty, but they were facing it together, and sometimes Maya thought that was enough. The Honda started making strange noises somewhere outside Billings, Montana. Elena had been driving for 16 hours straight, only stopping for gas and bathroom breaks. Maya dozed fitfully in the passenger seat, one hand always resting on her growing belly. Come on, don't quit on us now, Elena whispered to the car as the engine sputtered. They were still 60 miles from Cedar Ridge when the car finally gave up. Elena managed to coast to the side of the empty highway, just as the first drops of rain began to fall. The engine made a final grinding sound and went silent. What happened? Maya asked, waking up as the car stopped. Elena turned the key, but nothing happened. I think we're stuck. They sat in the growing darkness as rain started pounding on the roof. The nearest town, according to their map, was 15 miles away, and they hadn't seen another car for 20 minutes. What do we do now? Maya asked, trying not to panic. Elena pulled out her phone, but there was no signal. I guess we wait and hope someone comes by. An hour passed. The rain got heavier and the car started getting cold. Maya was shivering despite Elena's jacket draped over her shoulders. I'm sorry, Elena said quietly. I should have gotten the car checked before we left. I should have planned better. Don't blame yourself, Maya replied. We both knew this was risky. At least we're together. Just when Elena was starting to wonder if they'd have to spend the night in the car, headlights appeared in the distance. A large pickup truck slowed down and pulled over behind them. Through the rain-streaked rear window, they could see a tall figure getting out of the truck. Elena tensed, suddenly aware of how vulnerable they were. Two young women alone on a deserted highway. The man knocked gently on the driver's window. Elena cracked it open slightly. You ladies having car trouble? The voice was deep but kind, with a slight Western accent. Our engine died, Elena called back over the rain. Do you know anything about cars? A bit. Mind if I take a look? Elena and Maya exchanged glances. They didn't have much choice. Okay, Elena said. The man went to look under the hood while Elena watched nervously in the side mirror. After a few minutes, he came back to the window. I'm afraid it's going to need more help than I can give out here, he said. Where were you headed? Cedar Ridge, Maya answered. That's still a ways. I'm Tom McKenna. I have a ranch about 10 miles up the road. I can give you a ride to town in the morning, or you can call someone from my place. Elena hesitated. Everything their mother had taught them about stranger danger was screaming in her head. But what choice did they have? That's very kind, Elena said carefully, but we don't want to impose. Tom seemed to understand her hesitation. I get it. You don't know me from Adam, but it's getting nasty out here and your car isn't going anywhere tonight. I've got a guest cabin that's separate from the main house. You'd have your own space and privacy. Maya was shivering harder now and Elena could see how pale she looked. They couldn't stay in the car all night. Okay, Elena decided. Thank you. Tom helped them gather their suitcases and load them into his truck. As they drove through the rain, he kept up a steady, calming conversation. I don't get many visitors out this way, he said. It's pretty isolated. I've got about 2,000 acres, mostly cattle. Been in my family for 3 generations. Are you married? Maya asked, then immediately felt embarrassed for being so direct. Tom's hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel. I was. My wife, Rachel, passed away 3 years ago. I'm sorry, Maya said quietly. Thank you. It's been an adjustment living out there alone. When they reached the ranch, Elena was surprised by how well-maintained everything looked, even in the dark and rain. Tom pulled up to a small cabin that sat about 100 yards from the main house. This is where Rachel's sister used to stay when she visited, Tom explained as he helped them with their bags. It's got its own kitchen and bathroom and the heat works fine. Inside, the cabin was simple but clean and comfortable. There was a small living area with a couch and TV, a tiny kitchen, 1 bedroom with twin beds and a bathroom. After weeks of stress and a day of driving, it felt like luxury. There's food in the fridge. I keep it stocked in case of emergencies, Tom said. Help yourselves to whatever you need. The phone works if you need to call anyone. Elena looked around the cabin, still hardly believing their luck. How much do you want for letting us stay here? Tom looked surprised. Nothing. You're in trouble and I can help. That's what people do. After Tom left them alone, Maya sank onto the couch with relief. I can't believe this is happening. A few hours ago, I thought we might freeze to death in the car. Elena was more cautious. It seems too good to be true. Why would a complete stranger help us like this? Maybe he's just a good person, Maya said. They do exist, you know. Elena wanted to believe that, but she'd learned to be suspicious of people's motives. Still, Tom seemed genuine, and they desperately needed help. They found sandwich supplies in the small refrigerator and ate their first real meal in 2 days. Maya took a hot shower and put on clean clothes for the first time since they'd left home. Elena, Maya called from the bathroom. Look, Elena went to see what she was talking about. Maya had lifted her shirt to show her growing belly, which was clearly visible now. The baby's really growing, Maya said, running her hands over the small bump. I felt movement yesterday, just little flutters, but I'm sure that's what it was. Elena felt tears in her eyes. Despite everything they'd been through, Maya was creating new life. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Are you scared? Elena asked. Terrified, Maya admitted, but also excited. I keep thinking about holding the baby, teaching them to walk, reading bedtime stories. I just want the chance to be a good mom. You will be, Elena said firmly. Whatever it takes, we'll make sure you get that chance. That night, as rain continued to pound on the cabin roof, both sisters slept better than they had in weeks. For the first time since this whole nightmare started, they felt safe. Outside, Tom McKenna sat on his porch looking toward the guest cabin. He'd seen the fear in the young women's eyes, the way they held themselves like people running from something dangerous. He recognized that look because he'd felt it himself after Rachel died, the feeling of having nowhere safe to turn. He didn't know their story yet, but he could see they needed help. And if he was honest with himself, having people around again felt good. The ranch had been too quiet for too long. Tom finished his coffee and headed inside, already planning how he could help them get their car fixed. He had no idea that this simple act of kindness was about to change all their lives forever. Maya woke up the next morning, feeling better than she had in weeks. The cabin was warm. She'd slept in a real bed, and for the first time in days, she wasn't nauseous. Elena was already up, looking out the window at the ranch in daylight. "Maya, you need to see this," Elena called softly. Maya joined her sister at the window. The view was breathtaking. Rolling hills stretched in every direction, dotted with cattle and horses. The main house was a beautiful log structure with a wraparound porch, and there were several barns and outbuildings that looked well maintained. Everything was clean and organized, nothing like the chaos of their old neighborhood. "It's like something from a movie," Maya said. A knock on the door interrupted their admiring. Tom stood outside with a thermos and a paper bag. "Morning, ladies. I brought coffee and some breakfast from town. Didn't want to assume you'd be comfortable cooking in a strange kitchen right away." Elena opened the door wider. "You really didn't need to do that. It's no trouble. I had to go to town anyway to talk to Jake Morrison about your car. He's the best mechanic around here." Maya felt her stomach drop. "How bad is it?" Tom's expression was apologetic. "I'm afraid it's going to need a new engine. Jake says it's not worth fixing. The car's too old and has too many other problems." Elena sank into a chair. Without the car, they were completely stranded. How much would it cost to buy something else? A decent used car? Probably $3,000 or $4,000 minimum. The sisters exchanged looks. They had maybe $200 left. Tom seemed to sense their distress. "Look, there's no rush to figure this out today. You're welcome to stay here as long as you need to get back on your feet." "We can't just stay here for free," Elena said. "We need to pay our way somehow." "Actually, you might be able to help me out," Tom said thoughtfully. "I've been looking for someone to help with the house and some of the lighter ranch work. My housekeeper moved to California to be near her grandkids, and I've been struggling to keep up with everything." Elena perked up. "What kind of work?" "Cleaning, some cooking, helping with the horses, organizing paperwork." "Nothing too physical," he added, glancing at Maya's growing belly. "I can definitely do that," Elena said quickly. "I'm a hard worker, I promise," Tom smiled. "I believe you. Why don't we try it out for a week and see how it goes?" That afternoon, Tom showed Elena around the ranch while Maya rested. The main house was larger than it looked from outside, with a big kitchen, comfortable living areas, and 4 bedrooms upstairs. Rachel was always the one who kept everything organized, Tom explained as they walked through. "Since she's been gone, I've let things slide. I work from dawn to dusk with the cattle and horses, and I come home too tired to deal with housework." Elena could see what he meant. The house wasn't dirty, but it had the look of a place where someone was just surviving, not really living. Dishes sat in the sink, laundry was piled up, and there was dust on most surfaces. "I can definitely help with this," Elena said. "It just needs some attention." As they walked through the house, Elena noticed photo albums on shelves and pictures on the walls. Tom and a beautiful woman with blonde hair and a bright smile, obviously taken during happier times. "That's Rachel," Tom said, noticing where Elena was looking. "We met in college. She grew up in the city but fell in love with ranch life. Said she'd rather have 1,000 acres and one good man than a fancy apartment and all the wrong people." Elena could hear the pain in his voice. "She sounds wonderful." She was. "We tried for years to have kids, but it never happened. This place feels pretty empty with just me rattling around in it." That evening, Tom invited the sisters to have dinner with him in the main house. Elena had spent the afternoon cleaning the kitchen until it sparkled, and she insisted on cooking. "I used to help my mom in the kitchen when I was little," Elena explained as she prepared a simple meal of chicken, rice, and vegetables. "After she died, Maya and I took turns cooking for each other." Tom watched her work with obvious appreciation. It's been a long time since anyone cooked a real meal in this kitchen. Over dinner, they slowly began sharing their stories. Tom talked about growing up on the ranch, going to college for agriculture, and coming back to take over when his father retired. Rachel and I had plans to expand the operation, maybe start a small bed and breakfast for city folks who wanted to experience ranch life. She had all these ideas about hosting families, teaching kids about animals and farming. His voice trailed off. After the accident, I just focused on keeping the basic operation running. Maya found herself speaking before she could stop herself. What happened to her? Elena shot her a warning look, but Tom didn't seem offended by the question. Car accident on a winter night. She was coming home from town and the roads were icy. They think she hit a patch of black ice and skidded into a tree. He paused. I should have gone with her that night, but I was dealing with a sick calf and told her to go ahead. I'm so sorry, Maya said. You must miss her terribly. Every day. But talking about her helps, actually. I've been alone out here so long I'd almost forgotten what it was like to have dinner conversation. Gradually, the sisters began opening up too. They talked about growing up without much money, their mother's struggle with illness, and how they'd always taken care of each other. Maya's the dreamer, Elena said. She sees the good in everyone, even when she shouldn't. I'm more practical. Someone has to be. That's not true, Maya protested. Elena's the brave one. When things get tough, she's always the one who figures out what to do. Tom could see the deep bond between the sisters. It reminded him of the way he and Rachel used to finish each other's sentences and support each other through everything. After dinner, as Elena cleaned up despite Tom's protests, Maya found herself on the porch with Tom, watching the sunset paint the mountains purple and gold. Can I ask you something? Maya said suddenly. Sure. Why are you helping us? You don't know anything about us. We could be criminals or con artists or anything. Tom considered this seriously. I suppose you could be, but I don't think so. You remind me of Rachel and her sister when they first came out here from Chicago. They were city girls who didn't know anything about ranch life, but they had good hearts. Sometimes you just have to trust your instincts about people. Maya put her hand on her belly, feeling the baby move. We're running from someone who wants to take my baby away. Tom turned to look at her. The baby's father? Him and his family? They have money and lawyers, and they think I'm not good enough to be a mother because I'm poor. Maya's voice got shaky. They might be right. Money doesn't make someone a good parent, Tom said firmly. Love does. Taking care of each other does. From what I've seen, you and Elena have plenty of both. Maya felt tears in her eyes. Thank you for saying that. I mean it, and Maya? Whatever you're running from, you don't have to face it alone. Sometimes the best family isn't the one you're born with. It's the one you choose. That night, as Maya and Elena got ready for bed in the cabin, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. I like him, Maya said. He's kind and he doesn't judge us. Elena nodded. I can see why his wife loved this place. It feels like a real home. Do you think we could stay here? At least until the baby comes? Elena looked out of the window toward the main house where a light was still on in Tom's kitchen. I think we might be exactly what he needs, and he might be exactly what we need. For the first time since they'd left home, both sisters felt like they might have found a place where they could build a future. But they had no idea that their past was about to catch up with them in ways they never expected. 3 weeks had passed since Maya and Elena arrived at the ranch, and they had settled into a comfortable routine. Elena worked around the main house during the day while Maya helped with lighter tasks and rested when she needed to. At 16 weeks pregnant, Maya's belly was noticeably rounded, and she'd felt the baby moving more frequently. Tom had proven to be a generous and patient employer. He never made Elena feel like hired help, instead treating both sisters like welcome guests. The three of them had dinner together most evenings, sharing stories and slowly becoming friends. Maya was hanging laundry on the line behind the cabin when she saw an unfamiliar black SUV driving up the long ranch road. Her heart immediately started pounding. Few people came to visit Tom's isolated ranch, and something about the expensive vehicle made her nervous. She dropped the wet sheet she was holding and ran toward the main house, where Elena was cleaning windows. Elena, Maya called out urgently. There's a car coming. Elena looked up and saw the SUV too. Maybe it's just someone Tom's expecting. But Maya's instincts were screaming danger. No, Elena, I have a bad feeling about this. What if Derek found us? The SUV pulled up to the main house just as Tom came out of the barn. Maya and Elena watched from the kitchen window as a tall man in an expensive suit got out of the vehicle. Even from a distance, Maya recognized Derek immediately. Oh God, Elena, it's him. It's Derek. Elena grabbed Maya's arm. Stay calm. We'll figure this out. They watched as Derek approached Tom with what looked like a friendly smile and a handshake. Tom's body language was polite but wary as Derek spoke to him. We need to run, Maya said, backing away from the window. Right now before he sees us. Run where? Elena asked practically. We don't have a car and we're in the middle of nowhere. Besides, maybe Tom won't tell him we're here. But as they watched, Derek pulled out his phone and showed Tom something on the screen. Probably photos of Maya and Elena. Tom's expression changed as he looked at the phone, then toward the house. Tom was in an impossible position. Derek had introduced himself as Maya's concerned boyfriend and the father of her unborn child. He'd shown Tom official-looking documents claiming Maya was mentally unstable and had kidnapped herself and her sister. I'm just worried about her health and the baby's safety, Derek told Tom with perfect sincerity. Maya's been struggling with depression and making poor decisions. Her family's been frantic with worry. Tom didn't believe a word of it. He'd seen how the sisters jumped every time an unexpected car came down the road. He'd noticed how Maya flinched whenever anyone raised their voice. These weren't the behaviors of someone who'd left home on a whim. I haven't seen anyone matching that description, Tom said carefully. Derek's friendly mask slipped slightly. Look, Mr. McKenna, I know they're here. Their car was found abandoned about 15 miles from here. This is the closest ranch and they had to go somewhere. Like I said, I haven't seen them. Derek stepped closer, his voice taking on a threatening tone. I have a court order giving me temporary custody of the unborn child. If you're harboring fugitives, you could face serious legal consequences. Tom squared his shoulders. He might be a rancher, but he wasn't easily intimidated. If you have legal documents, you should probably take them to the sheriff instead of threatening private citizens. Inside the house, Maya was barely keeping herself together. He's going to find us, Elena. And now he's going to get Tom in trouble too. Elena's mind was racing. Listen to me, Maya. Remember what Mom used to tell us when we were little and scared? We're stronger than we think and we don't give up without a fight. But what can we do? Derek has lawyers and money and legal papers. He has those things, but we have something he doesn't. What's that? The truth. And people who believe in us. Outside, the confrontation between Tom and Derek was escalating. Derek had pulled out his phone again and was making a call. I'm calling the local sheriff, Derek announced loudly, clearly hoping Maya could hear him if she was nearby. I'm sure he'll be very interested in your obstruction of justice. Tom realized the situation was about to get much more complicated. Whatever was really going on here, he needed to know the truth before law enforcement got involved. Wait, Tom said. Maybe we should discuss this inside like civilized people. Derek smiled triumphantly. I thought you might see reason. As Tom led Derek toward the house, he caught a glimpse of movement in the kitchen window. He needed to warn Maya and Elena without Derek noticing. Let me get us some coffee, Tom said as they entered the kitchen. It's been a long day. While Derek looked around the room, clearly searching for signs that Maya and Elena had been there, Tom quickly opened the kitchen door that led to the back porch and called out loudly. Elena, could you help me with something in here? It was a signal and Elena understood immediately. If they were going to face this, it would be on their terms, not hiding like criminals. Elena walked into the kitchen with her head held high, and Maya followed close behind, one hand protectively on her belly. Derek's face lit up with false concern. Maya, thank God you're safe. We've been so worried about you. No, you haven't, Maya said quietly. You've been trying to take my baby. Our baby, Derek corrected. And I'm trying to make sure it's born healthy and safe. Look at you, you're too thin, you look exhausted. This isn't good for you or the child. Tom watched the interaction carefully. Derek was saying all the right words, but there was something cold in his eyes when he looked at Maya. And Maya looked terrified, not relieved to see someone who claimed to care about her. Maya doesn't want to go with you, Elena said firmly. She has that right. Derek turned his attention to Elena with obvious dislike. You're the one who helped her run away. Do you have any idea how irresponsible this was? Maya needs proper medical care and a stable environment. She's been getting medical care, Tom interjected. Dr. Peterson in town has been monitoring her pregnancy. She's perfectly healthy. Derek's mask slipped again. Who are you to make decisions about my girlfriend and my child? I'm not your girlfriend, Maya said, finding her voice. We broke up months ago and you know why. We had some problems, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you. My family wants to help. We want to give the baby everything it deserves. You mean you want to take the baby away from me? Derek's patience was clearly running out. Maya, be practical. What can you offer a child? You don't have a job, a home, or any money. My family can provide education, healthcare, opportunities. Love? Maya interrupted. I can provide love. Love doesn't pay for college tuition or doctor bills. Tom had heard enough. I think you should leave now. Derek turned on Tom angrily. This doesn't concern you. Maya and the baby are coming with me, whether she wants to or not. I have legal documents. Show me these documents, Tom demanded. Derek fumbled with his briefcase, but Tom could see the papers were just preliminary court filings, not actual custody orders. These don't give you the right to take anyone anywhere against their will, Tom said after examining them. Maya is an adult and she can make her own decisions. Derek's friendly facade completely disappeared. You have no idea what you're getting into, rancher. The Patterson family owns half this state. We have connections you can't imagine. If you interfere with this, we'll destroy you. That threat was a mistake. Tom had dealt with bullies before, and he knew the only way to handle them was to stand up to them. Maya, Tom said calmly. Do you want to go with this man? No, Maya said firmly. I don't. Elena, do you want your sister to go with him? Absolutely not. Tom faced Derek squarely. Then I think you have your answer. This is my property and you're no longer welcome here. Derek's face turned red with anger. Fine, but this isn't over. I'll be back with the sheriff and proper legal authority. And when I do, you'll all regret interfering with the Patterson family. As Derek stormed out and drove away, Maya collapsed into a chair, shaking. I'm sorry, she said to Tom. I'm so sorry we brought this to your door. Tom knelt beside her chair. You have nothing to apologize for. But Maya, I need you to tell me the whole truth now. What are we really dealing with? Maya looked at Elena, who nodded encouragingly. Derek's family wants my baby, Maya said simply. They think because they have money, they have the right to take it from me. And they'll use any legal trick or intimidation tactic to get what they want. Tom was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Then he looked at Maya with absolute determination. Well, then we'll just have to make sure they can't take it. How? Elena asked. Tom's answer surprised them both. We're going to get married. Maya and me, tomorrow. Maya's eyes widened. What? If you're married to me, Derek loses any claim he might have as the biological father. I can adopt the baby legally, and we'll have the resources to fight his family in court. Tom, I can't ask you to do that. Maya protested. It's too much. You're not asking. I'm offering. And Maya? It's not too much. Not for family. Elena felt tears in her eyes as she watched Tom take her sister's hands. Sometimes she thought heroes really did exist. They just didn't always look like you expected them to. The next morning, Maya woke up wondering if the previous day had been a dream. But when she found Tom and Elena at the kitchen table with coffee and legal documents spread between them, reality hit her again. Are you sure about this? Maya asked Tom as she sat down beside them. Marriage is a big step even if it's just for legal protection. Tom looked up from the papers he'd been studying. Maya, I've been thinking about this all night. Yes, I'm sure. But I want you to be sure too. This only works if we're all completely honest about what we're doing and why. Elena reached across the table and took Maya's hand. Tom and I talked early this morning. We think this could really work, but only if everyone's expectations are clear. What do you mean? Maya asked. Tom leaned back in his chair. I mean, we need to talk about what this marriage would really be like. I'm not expecting romance or anything like that. I'm offering legal protection and a stable home for you and the baby. In return, you and Elena would help me run this place and maybe bring some life back to it. Maya felt relief wash over her. She'd been worried that Tom might expect more than she was ready to give. So it would be like a partnership? Exactly. A partnership based on mutual respect and shared goals. We all want to protect the baby, and we all want a real home. Elena smiled. It's not the most traditional arrangement, but our family has never been traditional anyway. There's something else, Tom continued. If we do this, we need to be prepared for Derek and his family to fight harder. They're not going to give up easily. Maya's hand moved instinctively to her growing belly. At 17 weeks, the baby was moving regularly now, and she'd started to feel real kicks instead of just flutters. What would we tell people? Maya asked. I mean, about how we met and why we got married so quickly. Tom had thought about this too. We tell them the truth, that you and Elena needed help, I was lonely, and we found something good together. Love stories don't always happen the way people expect. That afternoon they drove to the courthouse in the county seat, about 40 miles away. Maya wore a simple blue dress that Elena had bought for her in town, and Tom had put on his best shirt and tie. Elena came along as a witness, carrying a small bouquet of wildflowers she'd picked from the ranch. Judge Martinez, who had known Tom's family for years, was surprised but pleased to perform the ceremony. "I've been worried about you out there all alone, Tom," the judge said as he prepared the paperwork. "Rachel would be happy to know you're not rattling around that big house by yourself anymore." The ceremony itself was brief, but meaningful. When Tom slipped a simple gold band onto Maya's finger, Rachel's wedding ring, which he'd quietly asked Elena to clean the night before, Maya felt tears in her eyes. "I promise to protect you and your baby," Tom said quietly, as they exchanged vows, "and to give you both a home where you'll always be safe. I promise to be a good partner and to help you build the life you want here," Maya replied. Elena wiped away tears as she watched her sister marry a man who was essentially a stranger, yet had shown them more kindness than anyone in their lives ever had. After they signed the papers, Judge Martinez shook Tom's hand. "Congratulations, son. I think you've made a good choice." On the drive home, Maya stared at the ring on her finger. "It feels strange," she admitted. "Being married? Good strange or bad strange?" Tom asked. "Different strange, like my whole life just changed direction again." "Mine too," Tom said. "But I think it's a good direction." That evening they had their first dinner as a married couple. Elena had cooked a special meal, and Tom had even opened a bottle of sparkling cider to celebrate. "So what happens now?" Elena asked as they sat around the table. "Now we figure out how to be a family," Tom replied, starting with getting the spare bedroom ready for the baby. Over the next few weeks they fell into new routines. Maya moved into the main house, taking the bedroom that had once been Tom's study. Elena stayed in the cabin, which gave everyone privacy while keeping the sisters close together. Tom proved to be incredibly thoughtful about Maya's comfort. He moved furniture around so she could reach everything easily, stocked the kitchen with foods that didn't trigger her morning sickness, and even brought home pregnancy books from the library. "I want to understand what you're going through," he explained when Maya found him reading about fetal development. "I never got to experience this with Rachel, so it's all new to me." Maya found herself developing genuine affection for this kind, steady man who had given her so much without asking for anything in return. He wasn't Derek. Tom never tried to control her or make decisions for her. Instead, he asked her opinion about everything from what to have for dinner to how to organize the ranch office. Elena, meanwhile, threw herself into making the ranch a real home. She planted a vegetable garden, organized Tom's chaotic paperwork, and even convinced him to let her redecorate some of the rooms that had been unchanged since Rachel's death. "It's time," Elena told Tom gently when she found him hesitating outside what had been Rachel's craft room. She wouldn't want this house to be a museum. She'd want it to be lived in and loved. Tom nodded, understanding that Elena was right. Together they transformed the craft room into a nursery, painting the walls a soft yellow and setting up the crib that Tom bought in town. Dr. Peterson, the local physician, was delighted with Maya's progress. "You're glowing," she told Maya during a checkup. "Whatever you're doing, keep it up. The baby is growing perfectly." "I think it's because I'm not stressed anymore," Maya admitted. "For the first time in months, I feel safe." But their peaceful bubble was about to be burst. One evening in late June, as Maya was reading on the porch and Tom was working in the barn, Elena noticed a car parked on the road just outside the ranch property. She'd seen it there for 2 days now, and it made her nervous. "Tom," Elena called when he came in for dinner, "I think someone's watching the house." Tom's expression grew serious. "Are you sure?" "There's been a car parked on the road for the past couple of days. Different people sitting in it, but always someone there." Maya felt her stomach clench with familiar fear. "Derek's family. They're having us watched." Tom looked out the window toward the road. "Well, they're not on my property, so there's not much I can do about it legally. But we need to be extra careful. Maya, I don't want you going anywhere alone." "What are they waiting for?" Elena asked. "Probably looking for evidence that our marriage isn't real," Tom replied. or waiting for Maya to make a mistake they can use against her in court. That night, Maya had trouble sleeping. She lay in her bed listening to the sounds of the old house settling, acutely aware that Tom was sleeping just down the hall. Their arrangement was working well, but she sometimes felt guilty about the sacrifice he was making. Around midnight, she heard footsteps in the hallway. A soft knock came at her door. "Maya, are you okay? I heard you moving around." She opened the door to find Tom in pajamas and a robe, looking concerned. "I can't sleep," she admitted. "I keep thinking about those people watching us. Want some warm milk?" Rachel used to say it helped with insomnia. They went downstairs to the kitchen where Tom heated milk while Maya sat at the table. "Tom," she said quietly, "do you ever regret this? Marrying me, I mean." He turned to look at her, surprised. "Why would I regret it?" "Because your life was simple before we showed up. Now you're married to a pregnant woman you barely know, and you've got her sister living on your property, and dangerous people watching your house." Tom brought her the warm milk and sat down across from her. "Maya, before you and Elena came here, I was existing, not living. I got up, worked all day, came home to an empty house, and went to bed. That's not a life. But you could have found someone else eventually, someone you actually loved." Tom was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you something? Rachel and I always planned to have kids. When we realized that wasn't going to happen naturally, we talked about adoption. She used to say that love wasn't about blood, it was about choice. We choose who becomes our family." Maya felt tears in her eyes. "So you're saying this baby is going to be loved by 3 adults who chose to be a family?" "That's more than a lot of kids get, even in traditional families." Maya reached across the table and took Tom's hand. "Thank you. For everything." "Thank you for trusting me," Tom replied, "for letting me be part of this." As they sat together in the quiet kitchen, both felt something shifting between them. What had started as a practical arrangement was slowly becoming something deeper. Not romantic love, but the kind of deep affection and respect that strong marriages are built on. Neither of them noticed the figure with binoculars watching from the car on the road, taking note of their late-night conversation and the gentle way Tom helped Maya back upstairs. Derek's investigator was gathering evidence, but not the kind Derek expected. What he was documenting wasn't a fake marriage. It was the beginning of a real family. Maya was 28 weeks pregnant when the legal papers arrived. She was hanging baby clothes on the line, tiny onesies and sleepers that Tom had insisted on buying, when the sheriff's deputy drove up the ranch road. "Mrs. McKenna?" the deputy asked, approaching carefully. He was young and seemed nervous about his task. "Yes?" Maya's heart was already pounding. "I have legal documents that require your signature to acknowledge receipt." Maya's hands shook as she signed for the thick envelope. After the deputy left, she sat on the porch steps and read through the papers with growing horror. Derek's family had filed for emergency custody of the unborn child, claiming that Maya had entered into a fraudulent marriage to avoid legal proceedings. They had pictures of the cabin where Elena lived, documents showing Maya had only been married for 2 months, and statements from Derek claiming he'd been denied access to his child. But worse than all of that was the court date, next week. Tom found Maya crying on the porch when he came in from the fields. "What happened?" Maya handed him the papers without speaking. Tom's face grew grimmer as he read. "They're claiming fraud," he said finally. "They're saying our marriage isn't real." "Maybe they're right," Maya said through her tears. "Maybe I did trap you into this. Maybe I'm not fit to be a mother." "Stop that right now," Tom said firmly, sitting beside her on the steps. "Our marriage might not have started with romance, but it's real in every way that matters. And you're going to be an amazing mother." Elena came running from the garden when she saw them on the porch. "What's wrong?" Tom showed her the papers while Maya tried to compose herself. "They want the baby," Elena said, her voice flat with disbelief. "They actually think they can take an unborn child from its mother." "We need a lawyer," Tom said. "A good one." Tom called his family attorney in town, but Mr. Henderson was honest about the situation. "Tom, this is outside my expertise. These are big city lawyers with unlimited resources. You need someone who specializes in family law and custody cases." That evening, Tom made phone calls while Maya and Elena cooked dinner. By the time they sat down to eat, he had news. "I found someone," Tom announced. "Catherine Walsh in Billings. She's expensive, but she's supposed to be the best family law attorney in Montana. She's agreed to see us tomorrow. Maya pushed food around on her plate. Tom, we can't afford expensive lawyers. We're just going to end up in debt for nothing. Let me worry about the money, Tom said.
The ranch is profitable and I have savings.
This baby is worth every penny. Catherine Walsh was a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who listened to their story without interrupting. When they finished, she leaned back in her chair and studied them carefully. I'll be honest with you, Ms. Walsh said finally. This is going to be difficult. The Patterson family has hired Williams and Associates. They're basically the legal equivalent of bringing a tank to a knife fight. But we can win, right? Elena asked. We can try. But we need to prove several things. That your marriage is genuine, that Maya is a fit mother, and that removing the child from her custody would not be in the child's best interest. How do we prove our marriage is genuine? Maya asked. Ms. Walsh smiled slightly. That might be easier than you think. I've reviewed the investigator's report that the Patterson lawyers filed. Their own evidence actually works in our favor. What do you mean? Tom asked. They have photos of you two having late-night conversations, of Tom helping Maya with everyday tasks, of all three of you working together around the ranch. To them, it looks suspicious. To a judge, it looks like a caring family. Over the next week, they prepared for court. Ms. Walsh interviewed neighbors, gathered medical records showing Maya's excellent prenatal care, and documented the stable, loving home environment they'd created. Dr. Peterson provided a glowing report about Maya's health and the baby's development. Judge Martinez testified about the wedding ceremony and his belief that the marriage was entered into with good intentions. Even Jake Morrison, the mechanic who'd declared their car hopeless, spoke about how Tom had immediately stepped up to help two young women in need. The thing about Tom McKenna, Jake told Ms. Walsh, is that he's never done anything for show. If he married that girl, it's because he saw something worth protecting. The night before the hearing, Maya couldn't sleep again. She found Tom on the porch looking out at the starry Montana sky. Nervous? He asked as she sat beside him, terrified. What if they take the baby, Tom? What if all of this was for nothing? Tom was quiet for a moment. Maya, do you remember what you told me the night Derek first showed up here? You said you wouldn't let them take your baby. I remember. Well, tomorrow we find out if that was just words or if you really meant it. Maya looked at him confused. What do you mean? I mean that no matter what happens in that courtroom, you're not alone anymore. Elena and I will stand with you whatever comes. But you have to decide if you're going to fight or if you're going to let them intimidate you into giving up. Maya felt the baby kick strongly, as if agreeing with Tom. I'm going to fight. Good. Because that baby is going to need a mother who doesn't back down when things get tough. The courtroom was packed the next morning. Derek and his family had brought what looked like half a law firm, while Maya, Tom, and Elena sat with Ms. Walsh at a single table. Derek's lawyer, Mr. Williams, painted a picture of Maya as an unstable young woman who had fled across state lines to avoid legal proceedings and entered into a fraudulent marriage to escape responsibility. Your Honor, Williams argued, the evidence is clear. Miss Rodriguez, the woman calling herself Mrs. McKenna, abandoned her home, her job, and her responsibilities the moment she learned about legal proceedings. She has shown a pattern of poor judgment and instability that makes her unfit to raise a child. When it was Ms. Walsh's turn, she told a different story, Your Honor. What we see here is a young woman who fled domestic violence and sought safety for herself and her unborn child. Maya McKenna didn't abandon responsibility. She chose responsibility over convenience when she refused to give up her baby for money. Ms. Walsh called Tom to the witness stand first. Mr. McKenna, why did you marry Maya Rodriguez? Tom looked directly at the judge. Because she needed protection and I could provide it. But also because I saw in her and Elena the kind of family I'd always wanted. They brought life back to my house and purpose back to my days. Is your marriage a business arrangement? It started as a legal protection. But, Your Honor, I've learned that the best marriages are partnerships built on mutual respect and shared goals. Maya and I have that. When Derek took the stand, Ms. Walsh was ready for him. Mr. Patterson, you've testified that you want to provide for this child. Can you tell the court about your relationship with Maya Rodriguez? We dated for about 6 months. When she got pregnant, she panicked and ran away before we could work things out. I see. And during your relationship, did you ever physically harm Miss Rodriguez? Derek's lawyer jumped up. Objection. Relevance? Your Honor, it goes to the safety of both mother and child, Ms. Walsh replied. I'll allow it. Derek shifted uncomfortably. There might have been one incident where things got heated, but it was mutual. Ms. Walsh produced medical records. These show that Maya Rodriguez was treated for bruised ribs and a sprained wrist 2 weeks before your breakup. Were those injuries mutual too? The courtroom was silent as Derek struggled to answer, but the most powerful testimony came from Maya herself. Miss Rodriguez, Derek's lawyer said during cross-examination, isn't it true that you married Mr. McKenna solely to avoid these custody proceedings? Maya looked directly at Derek before answering. I married Tom McKenna because he offered me and my baby safety and love. Those are things Derek never offered. But you barely knew Mr. McKenna when you married him. That's true, but in the few weeks I'd known Tom, he showed me more kindness and respect than Derek showed me in 6 months of dating. So you admit this marriage is not based on love? Maya paused, and for a moment the courtroom was completely quiet. Then she looked at Tom and Elena, sitting together at the defense table. If love means caring about someone's happiness more than your own, if it means working together to build something good, if it means choosing to be family every single day, then yes, this marriage is absolutely based on love. It might not be the kind of love that starts with romance, but it's the kind that lasts. The judge took a recess to consider his decision. Maya, Tom, and Elena waited in the hallway, holding hands and trying to stay calm. When court reconvened, Judge Harrison looked serious as he prepared to deliver his verdict. This court has reviewed all the evidence and testimony presented. While Mr. Patterson may be the biological father of this child, biology alone does not determine what is in a child's best interest. Maya held her breath. The evidence shows that Mrs. McKenna has created a stable, loving home environment with the support of her husband and sister. Her prenatal care has been exemplary, and multiple witnesses have testified to her character and fitness as a parent. The judge paused and looked directly at Derek. Furthermore, the evidence suggests a pattern of controlling and potentially abusive behavior from Mr. Patterson that raises serious concerns about his suitability as a custodial parent. Maya felt Tom's hand squeeze hers. 6 months later, Maya stood in the nursery holding her 3-week-old daughter, Sophia Elena McKenna. The baby had arrived 2 weeks early on a snowy December morning, with Tom pacing the hospital hallway while Elena held Maya's hand through 12 hours of labor. She's perfect, Maya whispered to the sleeping baby. Sophia had dark hair like Maya's and long eyelashes that fluttered when she dreamed. Tom insisted she had Maya's stubborn chin, while Elena claimed the baby had inherited her own expressive eyebrows. Through the nursery window, Maya could see Tom in the pasture with the horses, his breath visible in the cold air. Elena was in the kitchen making lunch and probably singing to herself the way she always did when she cooked. The peaceful domestic scene still amazed Maya sometimes. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Ms. Walsh stepped into the nursery, carrying her briefcase and wearing the smile she'd worn since the final custody hearing 3 months ago. How's our little Victory doing? Ms. Walsh asked, admiring Sophia. She's wonderful. But you didn't drive all the way out here just to see the baby. Ms. Walsh's smile widened. Actually, I have some news. Derek Patterson's parental rights were officially terminated yesterday. He never completed the anger management program or the parenting classes the court ordered. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders that she didn't even realize she'd been carrying. So it's really over? It's really over. Sophia is legally and completely your daughter. Derek has no claims, no rights, and no legal standing to interfere in her life ever again. After Ms. Walsh left, Maya found Tom in the barn. He was fixing a broken stall door but stopped working when he saw her carrying Sophia. Good news? He asked, seeing her expression. The best news. Derek's rights were terminated. Sophia is safe forever. Tom set down his tools and gently took the baby from Maya's arms. Sophia immediately settled against his chest, making the tiny sighing sound that meant she felt secure. Did you hear that, little one? Tom said softly to the baby. You're officially stuck with us now. Maya watched Tom with Sophia and felt her heart flutter. Over the past few months, their relationship had slowly evolved from a practical partnership into something deeper. They still slept in separate rooms and had never discussed changing their arrangement. But Maya found herself looking forward to Tom's company more each day. Tom, Maya said carefully, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever think about what happens next? I mean, with us? Tom looked up from the baby. What do you mean? Maya felt her cheeks warm. I mean, Sophia is safe now. Elena and I could find our own place if you want your space back. Our arrangement was about protection, and now we don't need protection anymore. Tom was quiet for a long moment, gently rocking Sophia. Is that what you want? To find your own place? No, Maya said quickly. I love it here. I love our life together, but I don't want you to feel trapped. Maya, look at me. She met his eyes, seeing something there she hadn't noticed before. I don't feel trapped. I feel like I found something I didn't even know I was looking for. What's that? A real family. Not just people living in the same house, but people who choose each other every day. Maya felt tears in her eyes. I choose you too, Tom. Every day. They were interrupted by Elena calling from the house. Lunch is ready! And Maya, you have a phone call. Maya hurried inside to find Elena holding the cordless phone with an excited expression. It's Mom's old friend Mrs. Chen from the restaurant, Elena explained. She has news. Maya took the phone nervously. Mrs. Chen had been like a second mother to them growing up, but they hadn't spoken since leaving town. Maya, honey, I'm so glad Elena gave me your number, Mrs. Chen said. I have something to tell you about Derek and his family. Maya's stomach clenched. What about them? Derek was arrested last week for assault. Apparently he's been having anger problems since the court case. His new girlfriend filed charges against him. Maya sank into a chair. Is she okay? She's fine, but Derek is facing serious charges. And here's the interesting part. His father is so embarrassed by the publicity that he's cutting Derek off financially. The word around town is that the Patterson family wants nothing more to do with him. After Maya hung up, she shared the news with Tom and Elena. I almost feel sorry for him, Maya said. Almost. He made his choices, Elena replied firmly. Just like we made ours. That evening, as they sat around the dinner table with Sophia sleeping in her bassinet nearby, Tom raised his glass of cider. I want to make a toast, he said. To family. The kind you choose and the kind you build together. To family, Maya and Elena echoed. Later that night, after Elena had gone back to her cabin and Sophia was sleeping peacefully, Maya found herself on the porch with Tom again. It had become their tradition, these quiet evening conversations under the Montana stars. Tom, Maya said, I've been thinking about what you said earlier, about choosing each other every day. What about it? I want to choose you for real. Not just for protection or convenience, but because I've fallen in love with the life we've built together. I've fallen in love with you. Tom turned to look at her, his expression unreadable in the darkness. Maya, are you sure? I don't want you to feel like you owe me anything. I don't feel like I owe you. I feel like I want to build a real marriage with you if you want that too. Tom was quiet for so long that Maya started to worry she'd misread the situation. Then he reached over and took her hand. I've been in love with you for months, he admitted, but I didn't want to pressure you or make you feel like that was part of our deal. It wasn't part of our deal, Maya said, moving closer to him on the porch swing. But maybe it could be part of our future. Tom cupped her face gently in his hands. Are you absolutely certain? Because once we cross this line, there's no going back to the way things were. I don't want to go back, Maya whispered. I want to go forward. With you. When Tom kissed her, it felt like coming home in a way Maya had never experienced before. This wasn't the desperate passion she'd felt with Derek. This was something steady and sure and built on a foundation of trust and respect. I love you too, Tom said against her lips. I love you and Sophia and the family we've become. 1 year later, Maya stood in the same nursery, but now it held 2 cribs. Sophia, now a toddler with curly hair and Tom's patient temperament, was napping in one crib while her baby brother James slept in the other. James had been a surprise, a blessing that arrived exactly 9 months after that night on the porch, when Maya and Tom had decided to make their marriage real in every way. Elena knocked softly on the nursery door. Maya? Tom's back from town with the mail. Maya followed Elena downstairs to find Tom sorting through letters at the kitchen table. His face was serious as he held up an official-looking envelope. What is it? Maya asked, feeling a familiar flutter of anxiety. It's from Derek, Tom said carefully. He's in prison now, but apparently he's been writing letters. Maya's hands shook as she took the envelope. After everything they'd been through, Derek could still make her nervous. But when she read the letter, it wasn't what she expected. He's apologizing, Maya said, looking up at Tom and Elena in surprise. He says prison and therapy have helped him understand how wrong he was. He's not asking for anything. He just wanted to say he's sorry and that he hopes Sophia is happy. Elena frowned. Do you believe him? Maya considered this. I think prison probably has changed him. But it doesn't matter whether I believe him or not. Sophia is our daughter now, and Derek made his choices a long time ago. Tom nodded. What do you want to do with the letter? Maya walked to the fireplace and tossed the letter into the flames. I want to focus on our future, not our past. That summer, they held Sophia's second birthday party in the backyard. The whole town seemed to show up. Dr. Peterson, Judge Martinez, Jake the mechanic, and dozens of neighbors who had become like extended family. Elena had decorated the yard with balloons and streamers, while Tom grilled hamburgers and hot dogs. Maya watched Sophia toddle around the yard, being spoiled by everyone who knew her story. The little girl had no memory of the difficult circumstances of her birth. She only knew love and security and the certainty that she belonged to people who would always protect her. Mama, up, Sophia demanded, raising her arms toward Maya. Maya scooped up her daughter, marveling at how much Sophia looked like Elena had as a toddler. Are you having fun at your party, sweet girl? Sophia pointed toward Tom, who was helping some of the neighborhood kids with a game of horseshoes. Daddy! The word still made Maya's heart skip. Tom had legally adopted Sophia 6 months ago, and she'd started calling him Daddy almost immediately. He was the only father she'd ever known, and he loved her as completely as if she'd been born to him. Elena appeared at Maya's side, holding baby James. Can you believe this is our life now? Maya looked around at their friends and neighbors, at the ranch that had become their home, at Tom teaching Sophia how to pet one of the gentle horses. Sometimes I still feel like I'm going to wake up and find out it was all a dream. It's real, Elena said firmly. We built this, all of us together. As the sun set over the Montana mountains, Maya stood on the porch holding Sophia while Tom carried a sleepy James. Elena was cleaning up party decorations with help from several neighbors who had insisted on staying to help.